afternoon to all of you, my eminent colleagues, Dr. Indu Bhushan ji, Dr. Ganga Khedkar ji, my learned friends, both of whom are ace authors, Kanchan Gupta ji, Prasanna Vishwanathan ji, and my dear scientist friend Anand Ranganathan ji, friends from the industry who are the backbone of our Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, the organizing team of this webinar series, Swarajya and Vedanta, and friends from the media. First of all, I must congratulate Swarajya for taking up a series of webinars on the theme of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Our government, led by Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, has been deeply inspired by Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay ji's idea of Antyodaya, or serving the very last person in the society. In fact, Atmanirbhar Bharat has become one of the focal areas of our government, around which all economic policies are being drawn up. Our government is focused on bridging the gap between the rich and the poor, the haves and the have-nots, and on providing equal opportunity to all Bharatiya citizens, which is the real meaning of Antyodaya. We all know that India can progress only if each citizen progresses. And for each citizen to progress, we need to be self-reliant, which is Atmanirbharta. Atmanirbhar Bharat is a plan to free India from the clutches of poverty, to ensure that all Indians have equal access to not just kapda, roti or makan, but to make a qualitative change in their living by giving them access to bank accounts, 24/7 power, portable drinking water, housing, social security, and most of all, employment and good food, leading to good and healthy living. As a step in the direction of Atmanirbhar Bharat, we launched the Make in India initiative to drive India as a hub for manufacturing, cutting-edge research and innovation. We fully understand that with industry will come greater employment for our youth, which will ignite prosperity in their lives. We have eased norms for doing business. We are working to make our tax structures competitive, simplifying procedures and removing unnecessary regulations, and placing enormous focus on technology as well. I am confident these efforts will directly benefit the poor of India. and provide them the windows of opportunity they deserve. Yesterday, I was reflecting on the invitation sent to me by Swarajya and found it interesting that Swarajya should be hosting this webinar series on Atmanirbhar Bharat, because conceptually both are similar. Swaraj means self-governance or self-rule, and was used synonymously with home rule by Maharshi Dayanand Saraswati ji, and later on by Gandhi ji. But the word usually refers to Gandhi ji's idea of Indian independence from foreign domination, a Swatantra Bharat. Similarly, Atmanirbhar Bharat means a self-reliant India that is not dependent on any other and is free from domination, essentially a Swatantra Bharat. Both mean the same. So I am happy that the core DNA of our government's flagship movement of building a self-reliant India has been taken up by Swarajya. The very name of which implies Swatantra Bharat and Atmanirbhar Bharat. However, I must add here that some people have given this a wrong connotation by saying that self-reliant India or Atmanirbhar Bharat means boycotting foreign goods. No. On the contrary, Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliant India believes in the concept of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. It means ending India's dependence on other countries and moving towards development and progress. What we have in India, we must promote, and what we don't have in our country, we must innovate and make. What we cannot have and still need, we take from others, from anywhere across the globe. Being self-reliant is the dream of every individual, society, and the nation. Human progress is possible only by self-sufficiency. Only a self reliant nation can make its nation paramount. Swadeshi does not and should not be interpreted as isolation. It is India's bridge between localization and globalization. Ever since we attained independence, there was a lot of political rhetoric around import substitution, around becoming self reliant, about giving more and more opportunities to our youth. But it did not happen. Now, Prime Minister Modi has called upon the nation to participate wholeheartedly in building the Atmanirbhar Bharat of our dreams. He has announced a massive economic stimulus package for the launch of the Self Reliant India campaign. You all know that our Honorable Prime Minister's call for a self reliant India came when we were battling COVID. Like the rest of the world, we were also seeing death every day, living under the fear of death. The crisis was unprecedented. Global leadership was depressed. It was at that time of deep depression and economic recession that Prime Minister Modi said that India must see the COVID-19 pandemic crisis as an opportunity and focused on five fundamental pillars: the economy, technology, infrastructure, vibrant demography, and the demand to create a self reliant India. Modi ji addressed the nation from the Red Fort on the occasion of India's 74th Independence Day and gave a call for Atmanirbhar Bharat, a Swatantra Bharat, asserting that there was no meaning of independence without the nation being economically independent. He gave us two slogans: vocal for local and make in India to make for the world. He fired the imagination of the country. Even his worst critics will admit that his call for moving towards Atmanirbharta was the need of the hour. It is necessary to understand that the definition of self reliance has undergone a change in the globalized world. And when the country talks about self reliance, it is different from being self centered. Self reliance will prepare the country for tough competition in the global supply chain, and it is important that the country wins this competition. The Swadeshi model is an ideal economic model that would balance both national exigencies as well as the international compulsions. Now, let me come to the subject of self reliance in healthcare. India has been making significant advances towards becoming self reliant under the leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister to make tangible changes to the health indicators across the board. India, we all know, accounts for only 2.4% of the world land mass, and yet it supports and sustains 16.9% of the world population. We are a rapidly developing economy. A population density of 382 persons per square kilometer, and 35% of urban population living in slums with very high population density. Across the world, after the pandemic raised its ugly head, people thought that with our density of population and given our resource constraint, coupled with poor infrastructure, we would be among the worst hit nations of the world. And yet we proved the word wrong. Throughout the pandemic, we had among the lowest mortality rates in the whole world. The proactive, preemptive, and graded whole of government, whole of society approach that India followed in managing COVID-19 has been one of the hallmarks of its response. Right from the beginning, since January, the health ministry has been working in close coordination with the Prime Minister's office, various ministries, and the various state governments The first advisory, if I can recall, was issued on 17th of January 2020, and thermal screening of incoming passengers from China and Hong Kong was initiated on 18th January 2020 itself. This was followed up by surveillance at all other points of entry, including land and seaports. At any given point of time, we had lakhs of people under community surveillance, supported by our robust integrated disease surveillance program. What I could tell you is a fairly detailed step by step strategy that we unleashed to battle the pandemic, of how we swung into action on continuity of routine services, especially provision and availability of essential public services, while maintaining the pandemic response simultaneously. It was a Herculean challenge. Understanding the highly infectious nature of the disease and the need to ensure overall healthcare availability across the country, India did a strategic repurposing of the existing health infrastructure to ensure that the health systems providing primary health care at grassroots levels were left untouched. But as I said, the detailed strategy would take a whole day to explain it to all of you. In short, I can proudly claim that we did not lose a minute even. Since 25th March 2020, when the lockdown was imposed, we utilized this time to upgrade the health infrastructure, build capacity of healthcare workers, and ensure availability of requisite logistics in the country. For example, whereas there were no indigenous manufacturing of PPEs with the requisite standards at that point of time, we are now self-sufficient and in a position to export the same PPEs. Laboratory diagnosis for COVID-19 is one of the key interventions in India's test, track, isolate and treat policy. The rapid enhancement of testing facilities is a success story in India. From one single lab in NIV Pune, where we isolated the virus, we are today at more than 2,300 ICMR certified labs for testing COVID-19 samples. A study done by a Harvard affiliate The Institute for Competitiveness has highlighted our success story from being an import dependent nation to becoming the world's second largest manufacturer of class 3 PPE required in pandemic settings. It is also to be noted that very limited indigenous manufacturing was available at the time of the lockdown with regard to manufacturing of the ventilators too. This capacity was also enhanced to attain self-reliance. It is also worthy to note that amidst the pandemic, India, from being import dependent on reagents, swabs, and other diagnostic related equipment, became self sufficient. Our premier institute, ICMR, Indian Council for Medical Research, undertook a detailed exercise to upgrade our diagnostic capacity development in the country. And as on 13th January 2021, that was yesterday, 326 RT-PCR kits have been evaluated, of which 149 have been approved for use. Similarly, for antigen testing, 18 antigen-based rapid tests have been approved. For serological testing, 25 manufacturers of IgG ELISA kits have been approved. More than 1,600 domestic manufacturers of PPE coveralls have cleared the quality test by now. More than 200 licenses were issued by BIS for manufacturing of N95 masks. With the country now attaining self-sufficiency, the PPEs and the N95 masks have also been made available on the GEM portal. India also leveraged technological tools in the fight against the current pandemic. The Arogya Setu application was developed for the purpose of helping in COVID management. The application has been very useful and has been downloaded by 168 million users in India by now. In order to aid the surveillance and containment activities, an IT tool called Itihas was also developed by us. Further, there were major efforts undertaken to rapidly increase the infrastructure in the country. Total isolation beds increased to more than 1.5 million by the end of Unlock 6 as compared to 10,180 before the lockdown. Similarly, the number of ICU beds have increased to around 80,669 as compared to just around 2,168 before lockdown. In addition, use of telemedicine was promoted to provide teleconsultation to patients for mitigation of their illness and prevention of crowding in clinics. eSanjeevani, a web-based comprehensive telemedicine solution, is being utilized across India to extend the reach of specialized healthcare services to the masses in both rural areas and the isolated communities. Another best practice was eICUs that provided round the clock guidance in managing ICU patients in peripheral settings. The Department of Biotechnology, which is part of my another ministry, did extraordinary work in supporting the advancement of vaccine candidates and related technologies. Under mission COVID Suraksha, the Indian COVID-19 vaccine development mission, we focused on accelerated vaccine development through end-to-end solutions from preclinical development, clinical trials, manufacturing, and also regulatory facilitation for deployment. A national expert group on vaccine administration for COVID-19, NEGVAC, was constituted under the guidance of, again, he has been guiding us all through, Honorable Prime Minister, to monitor and decide on prioritization of population groups for vaccination, the delivery mechanism of the vaccine, including tracking of the vaccination process and selection of delivery platforms, and indigenously developed CoWIN. You must have heard about it now quite a bit on the television channels also. Digital platform for COVID-19 vaccination delivery has also been developed. COVID-19 vaccination drive is also driven by Make in India, and both the vaccines that have received emergency authorization in India have been manufactured indigenously. We have also carried out cold chain storage assessment across the country, and cold chain equipment is being supplied continuously to augment the capacity at the last mile cold chain points. I am sure that our efforts aimed at mitigation of the pandemic have parallelly strengthened our health systems up to the last mile, and the same will act as a foundation for further strengthening the same to provide affordable, equitable, and quality healthcare to all. The COVID pandemic has been an unfortunate event that has affected our lives and economies in an unprecedented manner. However, we have utilized this adversity as an opportunity to strengthen our healthcare delivery system across the whole country. In May 2020, while announcing a set of reforms and initiatives as part of government measures for providing stimulus to the economy, our government announced the Atmanirbhar Bharat package for the health sector. The proposed Prime Minister Atmanirbhar Swasth Bharat Yojana package of more than 60,000 crores of rupees shall strengthen the delivery of healthcare services across the full continuum of care. It will include setting up of the national, regional, state, district and block level laboratories integrated into a network for surveillance functions backed by a robust IT based reporting mechanism leading to self reliance for detection, prevention and containment of disease outbreaks. I am happy to state that there will be a massive employment generation as an impact of the measures that we are undertaking for self-reliance in the health sector. This will also build up a trained frontline health workforce to respond to any public health emergencies in the future. Development of critical care hospital blocks in more than 600 districts as proposed under the scheme I mentioned shall make such districts self-sufficient in providing comprehensive treatment for infectious diseases without disruption to the other essential health services. We have also strengthened our molecular sequencing capacities. This is a big initiative which can be repurposed for many other pathogens in the future. The COVID-19 pandemic also provided a compelling opportunity for R&D institutions, academia and the industry to work in unison for sharing of purpose, synergy, collaboration and cooperation. The Department of Science and Technology, again my ministry, and its various autonomous institutions made significant efforts to address R&D and innovation related challenges arising out of the present pandemic. Among other measures has been the formation of a national task force with over 20 leading scientists for formulating a national supermodel for predicting the spread of any pandemic in the future. DBT, the Department of Biotechnology, and BIREC, an autonomous organization, have been working relentlessly over the past 10 months to develop effective interventions for combating the pandemic by supporting nearly 120 projects in the thematic areas of vaccines, diagnostics, and therapeutics. More than 200 Indian manufacturers have registered under National Biomedical Resource Indigenization Consortium, that's called the NBRIC. It's a Make in India initiative for facilitating indigenous manufacturing of 15 major molecular biology components and reagents. Also, DBT is supporting the development of nearly 15 vaccine candidates. Of these, 3 vaccine candidates are in the clinical trial stages. About 2 candidates are in advanced pre-clinical development stage. Amongst many other achievements, the Immunoassay Laboratory, it's a very important development of Translational Health Science and Technology Institute, THSTI, has been recognized by the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations, SAPI, an international body, as one of the 7 laboratories globally for centralized assessment of COVID-19 vaccines. Five COVID-19 biorepositories have been set up and have archived more than 40,000 samples which are available for biomedical researchers right now. On the genomics and the therapeutics front, Pan-India 1000 SARS-CoV-2 genome sequencing was successfully completed, and data is being analyzed to understand the COVID virus. The Indian SARS-CoV-2 Genomic Consortium, INSACOG, has been launched recently to ascertain the status of new variants of the SARS-CoV-2 in the country. As I said, Atmanirbharta also means taking and giving global cooperation wherever it is required. We are strengthening clinical trial capacities also in our neighboring and the friendly countries under the partnerships for this Advancing Clinical Trials Pact Initiative. DBT, our Department of Biotechnology, is working closely with the Ministry of External Affairs for advancing vaccine development activities in the neighboring countries also. We are also conducting training programs in these countries to strengthen the activities around clinical trials. Ever since the country has started waging the fight against SARS-CoV-2 virus from early March 2020, CSIR, one of our most prestigious science organization, has galvanized its considerable strength and expertise and has been contributing to the fight against COVID-19 by developing new and improved diagnostics, drugs, vaccines and devices, including the ventilators. CSIR has also made strides in understanding the molecular epidemiology and also the tracing of the viral strains in the country. It recognized early on the challenges of the disruption in the supply chain and has taken steps to circumvent the hurdles. We have developed Feluda, the novel paper-based diagnostic kit in CSIR for COVID-19 detection. Tata Sons, who took transfer of this unique technology, may soon start exporting these Feluda kits. CSIR labs have contributed significantly in understanding the prevalent viral strains, their mutational spectrum, spread and distribution across India by sequencing and analyzing about 2000 SARS-CoV-2 viral genomes. CSIR has also prioritized the development of repurposed drugs for treatment of COVID-19. Given the lack of specific drugs which we had right from the beginning, CSIR developed the process technology for repurposed drugs such as remdesivir and favipiravir and transferred the technology to industries based on licensed technology of CSIR. Cipla launched the affordable favipiravir, which all of you will be able to recollect, drove market competition, leading to affordable pricing. There is no end to what all has been done. In just the last 1 year, particularly the last 8-10 months, CSIR has also developed the non-invasive ventilator BiPAP called Swasth Vayu in a record 36 days and transferred the technology to 7 industries. Towards understanding supply chain issues and addressing them in the healthcare domain, an online portal called Arogya Rath has also been developed. We are launching programs that are unprecedented in terms of their scale and reach also. These strides are ambitious and an evidence of our sincere commitment towards a healthy and more productive India. The work on COVID has geared us with added responsibility and energy in dealing with public health situations now. Last year, Honorable Prime Minister had launched the National Digital Health Mission in his Independence Day address to the nation. I am happy to inform all of you that the mission has been successfully rolled out in 6 union territories. This will lead to our country leapfrogging in this domain and will improve the access to and quality of healthcare in India. My friends, I have an endless repository of work that we are doing in the health sector at present, and those that are going to be implemented in the near future. During the pandemic, with utmost modesty, I can claim that the world has applauded India for the manner in which we held fort and kept mortality rates at the lowest. Even today, we are at a mortality rate of 1.44%. In short, I can only tell you that today we are doing everything that will directly benefit the poor and the marginalized. We believe in achieving universal health care for all our citizens. My view on health has always been that health is a human right and not a privilege. You will all agree with me that the right to health is fundamental to the right to life. As a medical professional myself, I feel elated that the Ayushman Bharat health assurance scheme has made India the global leader in daring to tread the path of delinking healthcare from affluence and the ability to pay. This scheme has also showcased the strong political intent of our government to make a paradigm shift in the healthcare sector 7.5 decades after we won our freedom. With the creation of the National Medical Commission, our government has already embarked upon the path to major medical education reforms, and with Ayushman Bharat we have laid the foundation for a disease-free India. Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay ji, our revered leader, always said, चरैवेति चरैवेति यही तो मंत्र है अपना। चरैवेति चरैवेति यही तो मंत्र है अपना। नहीं रुकना नहीं थकना, नहीं रुकना नहीं थकना, सतत चलना सतत चलना। The call for Atmanirbhar Bharat is an inspiring call to keep pursuing your mission without being overcome by any obstacles, to establish a system of sacrifice and hard work, and to work towards nation building. There is an immense need to further educate the public to become self-reliant. Once they know that they have got to stand on their own legs, it will electrify the atmosphere. This webinar series is a step in the right direction. I want you all, the enlightened audience present here today, to contribute towards our collective mission of an Atmanirbhar Bharat, a Swatantra Bharat, an India of our dreams. My greetings to everyone on the auspicious day of Makar Sankranti today. I will also take this opportunity to congratulate each and every Indian today, because in less than 2 days from now, we shall be launching one of the largest immunization programs of the world, the COVID-19 vaccine program. One of the biggest success stories that India is set to clock. Thank you all for giving me this opportunity to lay down my thoughts before all of you. Thank you all for a very, very patient hearing. Namaskar. Jai Hind. Bharat Mata ki Jai.